When a man feels real love, something inside him begins to shift in a way he cannot ignore. It feels like an awakening that touches both the part of him he understands and the part he rarely notices. Love stops being a simple emotion and slowly becomes a reflection of who he truly is. It is no longer only about liking someone deeply. It turns into a mirror that reveals the harmony or imbalance within his own soul. When he meets someone who aligns with his inner truth, the line between what he feels inside and what he sees outside begins to blur. It is as if a forgotten song starts playing again, reminding him of who he really is beneath all the noise, pressure, and layers of ego. He feels both vulnerable and complete at the same time, gentle yet strong, open yet grounded. This kind of connection is not about two people trying to complete one another. It is about recognizing a part of oneself in another person. He experiences a strange familiarity, not because of shared history, but because something about this bond echoes the hidden corners of his being. That type of love invites him into a journey of discovering himself with honesty. He begins to notice the subtle movement between his inner world and the world around him. The emotions he feels are not random. They carry meaning. They symbolize the quiet conversation taking place between his conscious mind and the deeper forces shaping his life. When he loves sincerely, he does not lose himself in the relationship like many do when driven by desire, fear of loneliness, or the need to feel needed. Instead, he discovers a more authentic version of himself through this connection. The bond becomes a sacred mirror that reflects both his strengths and his wounds. Every warm moment, every conflict, and every silent pause turns into a lesson in awareness. He learns that real love is not about escaping his own truth, but about bringing that truth into harmony with the presence of someone who matters. In genuine love, he is not ruled by attraction or blinded by fantasy. His affection rises from a deeper recognition, an understanding that love in its purest form is an expression of truth. This truth does not demand perfection. It welcomes wholeness. It accepts that love can be soft and intense, healing and honest, revealing and comforting. He understands that loving someone sincerely means standing before them without pretending, allowing his heart to be seen without tricks or emotional masks. In that openness, he finds a rare kind of strength, because love rooted in authenticity cannot be broken by ego, fear, or pride. It does not rely on perfect conditions. It is born from the connection of two souls seeing each other beyond appearances and beyond the surface of daily life. As he deepens into this experience, he becomes aware of how much this love is reshaping him. His inner world begins to align with something greater than old desires or habits. He stops chasing validation through achievements or approval. He starts seeking connection through honesty. The woman he loves becomes a reflection of his growth and transformation. He does not love her to escape loneliness or fill emptiness. He loves her because her presence resonates with the deepest place within him that longs for balance, unity, and purpose. In her, he sees a living expression of something his soul has always wanted to reveal. This is why when a man feels true love, his energy softens, his attention deepens, and his behavior becomes steadier. He no longer feels restless, because the chase for external satisfaction transforms into a journey of inner clarity. Real love becomes a spiritual alignment, not ownership. It teaches him that loving honestly means accepting life as it is without exaggeration or denial. It draws him closer to reality and truth, asking him to be both humble and courageous. Through this love, he learns that the deepest connection he can have with another begins with the connection he has with himself. It becomes the harmony between his inner and outer worlds, the balance between emotion and understanding, intensity and calm. Love in its truest form stops being a desire to control and becomes an invitation to awaken. When a man experiences real love, he realizes that true strength is not shown by hiding emotions, but by allowing himself to feel them openly. Vulnerability becomes the bridge between his heart and his soul, between the version he shows the world and the version he keeps within. In a world that often teaches men to silence emotions and appear unshaken, genuine love gently removes those heavy layers of protection. It encourages him to lower his guard and let someone see the parts he once concealed, trusting he will still be accepted. This process is both frightening and freeing. It forces him to release control, abandon the illusion of invincibility, and face fears of rejection or not being enough. Yet by embracing vulnerability, he discovers a deeper form of courage, the courage to be real. When he opens his heart, he reveals layers of humanity once hidden behind silence, logic, or pride. He allows his partner to see his doubts, worries, and quiet pain. This honesty becomes a sacred offering, showing he trusts her enough to be fully seen. In these moments, his words carry sincerity not meant to impress, but to connect. He admits fear, speaks when hurt, and expresses gratitude when understood. There is a calm strength in this honesty, far greater than dominance or emotional distance. He realizes vulnerability does not weaken him. It humanizes him, and his humanity becomes the foundation of lasting love. Through vulnerability, intimacy changes. Emotional closeness no longer feels risky, but safe. The walls he built slowly dissolve, not because love blinds him, but because it gives him the courage to see clearly. He finds beauty in openness. He listens with empathy instead of defense. He speaks with presence instead of performance. He feels with awareness instead of fear. His emotional life becomes fuller and more awake. In that openness, his partner feels like a companion, not a threat. The more he opens, the stronger the bond grows, because love thrives where truth exists without fear. This transformation is not always easy. There are moments when old habits tempt him to retreat and hide feelings again. He feels the urge to protect himself from discomfort. But each time he chooses honesty over withdrawal, he grows stronger. Emotional openness becomes a quiet rebellion against limiting ideas of masculinity. He learns vulnerability is not losing power, but releasing pretense. It is where love becomes sacred, where two souls connect without ego blocking the way. As he embraces this depth, love stops feeling like a struggle for control. It becomes a space of mutual healing. His vulnerability invites hers, creating a bond built on truth rather than illusion. He understands real closeness grows from shared honesty, not perfection. When a man feels real love, his greatest strength is not how much he carries alone, but how deeply he connects while staying true to himself. His heart remains open, protected by sincere intention. In that balance, he finds a peace only genuine love can offer. When a man feels true love, his understanding of connection shifts from possession to growth. He no longer seeks to control the woman he loves. He chooses to evolve alongside her. Love becomes an awakening for both, not a competition or a way to fill emptiness. It is not about holding tightly out of fear, but about allowing space while choosing connection. In this love, affection is not driven by insecurity or dominance, but by respect and admiration. He values her individuality and sees it as precious. He understands her independence is not a threat to his masculinity, but a reflection of her strength and beauty. He wants to enter her world, not limit it. His heart expands as he realizes real love does not demand possession. It encourages growth. Loving honestly, he views the relationship as a space where both souls rise. He does not try to shape her into perfection, having learned to love without forcing expectations. Every shared moment becomes an opportunity to understand more deeply, listen more fully, and grow in awareness together. His love slowly shifts from attachment to understanding. He begins to notice the small details, the quiet gestures, the honest conversations, the way growth sometimes needs space instead of constant closeness. He values balance, knowing that love thrives through harmony rather than control. Through her, he learns the importance of patience, realizing that love must breathe if it is to stay alive. Such a man does not confuse possession with protection. He does not see her freedom as something threatening, but as a natural extension of love itself. His desire is not to hold her back, but to walk beside her as an equal, allowing both of their spirits to expand and unfold in their own rhythm. When she succeeds, he feels joy instead of fear. When she changes, he seeks understanding rather than resistance. His love is not dependent on her fitting an ideal image he once imagined. It grows through her honesty, through the truth of who she truly is. He understands that love is not a cage for another soul, but a reflection of his own depth and emotional maturity. By supporting her independence, he also honors his own values. Real love is built on shared respect. This kind of love also transforms how he sees himself. He begins to realize that true connection requires emotional growth and awareness of his inner world. The more he grows within, the more capable he becomes of giving without fear and receiving without guilt. He learns that love is not about filling an inner emptiness, but about sharing what is already whole inside. His affection flows naturally because it is not mixed with ego or the desire to dominate. He finds joy in watching her shine, knowing her light does not diminish his own. Their relationship becomes a dance of two individuals who choose each other, not from dependence, but because they are aligned in spirit and intention. In this open space, love becomes a force that lifts them higher. They inspire one another to rise beyond limits, fears, and self-doubt. They become mirrors for each other, reflecting both beauty and lessons. He understands that love is not about standing above someone. It is about holding hands and moving together through life's uncertainties. His care becomes gentle yet steady. His passion remains warm without being overwhelming. His loyalty shows itself through granting freedom, not taking it away. This is the kind of love that not only reshapes relationships but changes the very nature of who a man becomes. He learns that the purpose of loving someone is not to possess their heart, but to expand his own. Through her presence, he realizes again that true love is not about keeping someone fixed in place. It is about growing, balancing, and evolving together as two souls walking honestly. When a man feels genuine love, there is a quiet recognition that goes beyond physical attraction, beyond logic, and beyond time. It is as if his soul remembers something his mind cannot explain. When he looks into the eyes of the woman he loves, there is a moment of stillness, a deep awareness that he has met someone who reflects the core of who he is. This recognition does not come from analysis. It comes from an inner knowing, an intuitive sense that this connection is uncommon. He feels peace in her presence, a calm that speaks louder than words. It is not the rush of infatuation or desire, but a quiet sense of belonging, as though his heart has found a place where it no longer needs to hide. In that still moment, he feels familiarity, as if they have known each other beyond memory, as if their souls have crossed paths before. This recognition does not need justification. It is not about appearance, status, or reason. It is a spiritual alignment felt deeply within. He does not seek constant reassurance because the connection itself feels undeniable. There is an unseen thread that binds their energies, drawing him closer not from need but from resonance. He feels understood by her even in silence. Her presence alone brings clarity to his thoughts and direction to his purpose. When she speaks, Her words often echo feelings he has not yet expressed. When she is quiet, her silence feels complete rather than empty. It is as if their communication exists beyond language, carried by intuition and energy. He feels truly seen, not for who he pretends to be, but for who he is beneath everything. This connection awakens devotion within him. He becomes more present, more mindful, and more careful with his emotions. He does not feel the need to chase or prove himself. Instead, he nurtures the bond through steady effort and sincere attention. It is not about grand gestures, but about quiet consistency, how he listens, how he protects her peace, and how he shows up without being asked. Each small action reflects a deeper truth he carries inside. When he holds her, it is not only physical, it is a moment of spiritual alignment, as if he is holding a part of his own soul, something to respect and never take lightly. This recognition brings both comfort and challenge. True love reflects light and shadow, revealing not only what he cherishes, but what he must face within himself. Her presence awakens parts of him long dormant. His tenderness, his fears, old wounds, and his desire to grow. Yet he does not turn away because he senses that the purpose of this connection is transformation. Through her, he comes to know himself more deeply. Their relationship becomes a journey of inner discovery, guided more by intuition than reason. When he feels this recognition, love ceases to be about possession and becomes respect, care, and reverence. He begins to see her as more than a partner. She becomes a reflection of something sacred, a mirror that draws out his higher nature. He realizes that real love is not something he accidentally finds, it is something he remembers. It feels destined yet free, familiar yet new, close yet limitless. It is a bond where words often become unnecessary, because understanding flows naturally between two souls that have finally found their place beside each other. Through this silent recognition, he experiences love not as a fleeting emotion, but as a timeless connection between spirits that have always known where they belong. When a man feels authentic love, the structure of his inner world begins to shift. Love reaches deep within him, changing how he sees life, how he understands himself, and how he relates to the world. He begins to see through new eyes, no longer guided only by logic or desire, but by meaning. The woman he loves awakens a softness within him, a compassion once guarded, and a strength born not from pride, but from clarity and awareness. In her presence, something sacred rises. He understands that love is not merely an emotion. It is a process that reshapes who he becomes. Through love, he confronts himself. Confusion, insecurities, and fears emerge, but instead of avoiding them, he accepts them. He learns that love is not meant to comfort, but to awaken the soul. With this awakening, he realizes that love is not a transaction or temporary thrill. It is a mirror reflecting both his beauty and his unfinished places. Each joy and challenge becomes a step toward deeper understanding. When conflict arises, he seeks understanding rather than victory. When pain appears, he listens instead of shutting down. Love teaches patience, humility, and acceptance. It softens the edges of his ego, reminding him that connection grows through surrender, not control. He values honesty over pride, empathy over force, and presence over performance. Each moment together becomes a chance to be more open and aware. He learns that love is not about holding someone forever, but about honoring each moment sincerely. This transformation extends beyond the relationship. His view of life shifts. Simple moments gain meaning. Her laughter, morning light in a quiet room, the comfort of sitting close. He begins to see beauty where routine once existed. Love sharpens his sensitivity to life's details, teaching him that true living is found not in achievement, but in presence. Life becomes less about competition and more about connection. He recognizes how deeply everything is connected. Love is not only between two people, but a force present throughout existence. This realization humbles him and roots him in gratitude and calm. By loving fully, he also learns how to let go, not as loss, but as acceptance. He comprehends that love cannot be forced or controlled. It must be nurtured with trust and faith. He releases the notion that love must always feel flawless. Understanding that its authentic strength arises from growing through flaws, the relationship becomes a living space for both souls to evolve, to stumble and rise, to hurt and heal, and to transform side by side. He starts to perceive love not as something he possesses, but as a journey toward inner awakening. Every moment of love, even the aching ones, becomes a lesson directing him toward a better version of himself. Through this inner change, his love matures from simple emotion into devotion. He becomes calmer, wiser, and more grounded. He no longer flees from vulnerability because he has recognized that vulnerability leads to truth. His affection expands not through dramatic acts, but through steady presence and quiet loyalty. He comprehends that real love is not something he gives or receives. It is something he becomes by loving her. He becomes more human, more compassionate, and more awake. The man who once sought validation from the world now finds meaning in simply being genuine. Love has turned him inside out, stripping away illusions and revealing his essence. In that transformation, he discovers that to love sincerely is to grow endlessly toward understanding, balance, and inner peace. When a man feels real love, he starts to grasp the sacred responsibility that accompanies it. Love becomes more than a passing feeling or a brief emotional spark. It becomes a conscious commitment to protect, uplift, and support the woman he loves without trying to dominate her. He feels a profound sense of duty, not from obligation, but from respect for the connection they share. This devotion gives weight to his actions. His words carry honesty. His presence provides comfort, and his loyalty becomes quiet but unwavering. When he loves with sincerity, he no longer moves through life carelessly. Every decision he makes includes her peace, her growth, and her emotional well-being. He understands that real love is not about the thrill of the beginning, but the endurance of the soul. It is the calm choice to stay, to show up, to be steady in a world that constantly shifts. This love reshapes his idea of commitment. It is no longer possession or routine. It becomes a sacred promise he makes within his heart. He comprehends that love requires patience, effort, and understanding. He learns to be present not only in joy, but in discomfort, not only during passion, but during silence. He does not vanish when problems appear because his love is not based on convenience. It is grounded in purpose. He is not loyal because he fears losing her. He is loyal because he respects the truth of what they share. Through this devotion, he becomes emotionally stable, reliable, and grounded. His actions match his feelings, and his consistency speaks louder than any words could. His love becomes the kind that brings healing instead of confusion, calmness instead of chaos. When he loves authentically, he also learns balance, the delicate skill of giving without losing himself. He does not erase who he is for love, nor does he expect her to lose herself. He understands that love must grow alongside individuality. He supports her dreams as strongly as his own, creating a space where both can rise. His love becomes an environment of mutual growth, not dependence. He learns that strength in love is not about control, but about steadiness. The strength to stay kind when anger tempts him, to listen when pride wants to argue, to remain gentle even when the world feels harsh. His love deepens from passion to purpose, from desire to meaning. This honest love also reshapes how he sees masculinity. He no longer needs to prove his value through dominance or material achievements. Instead, he finds meaning in his capacity to love deeply, protect sincerely, and act with honesty. His emotional maturity becomes a sign of his inner growth. Love becomes the path through which he understands the balance between strength and softness, thought and emotion, action and stillness. Through this, he becomes not just a lover, but a partner, a guide, and a place of emotional safety. A man who feels real love does not simply say, "I love you." He shows it in the quiet moments, in patience, and in the way he stays present even when life becomes uncertain. His love does not fade over time because it is not built on fantasy. It is built on soul. He stands with her not to lead or to follow, but to walk beside her through life's unfolding seasons. His devotion becomes timeless, a calm promise to keep choosing her again and again, not because he has to, but because his heart cannot imagine a truth more real. When a man feels deep, truthful love, his whole being rises into something more peaceful, steady, and meaningful. It is not a love that burns fast and disappears. It is a love that shapes him slowly, refining him over time. Through this love, he learns that it is not a conquest or a flicker of emotion. It is a spiritual mirror that shows him who he is. He discovers that loving genuinely means growing, facing himself honestly, and moving beyond ego. Love teaches him truth, patience, and balance. It breaks his pride, but strengthens his spirit. It teaches him that real strength is not about never being shaken, but about being brave enough to stay open even when closing off feels easier. In this depth of feeling, he finds inner peace. He stops trying to be admired for what he can control. Instead, he finds meaning in what he can understand and nurture. The woman he loves becomes both a mirror and a guide, teaching him how to love, not through ownership, but through presence. Through her, he learns kindness. Through her, he learns calmness. And through her, he learns that the strongest form of love is the one that frees, not traps. He realizes that true love does not demand perfection. It invites two imperfect souls to grow together, side by side, learning, forgiving, becoming. Authentic love becomes his awakening. It turns his silence into meaning, his fear into insight, and his passion into purpose. It grounds him in humility while lifting him beyond his limits. He understands that love is not a way to escape reality, but the deepest way to meet it. In the end, love is not about finding someone to complete him. It is about recognizing the reflection that guides him toward completeness within himself. When a man feels real love, he does not just feel emotion. He experiences growth. It is the meeting of two souls, reminding each other who they were always meant to be. Through that sacred recognition, he learns that love is not only what joins two hearts, it is what awakens the soul to its highest truth. And as this awakening settles into his life, he understands that real love is not loud, rushed, or desperate to prove itself. It is quiet confidence. It is choosing presence over distraction, truth over comfort, and depth over illusion. Love teaches him to slow down and listen, not only to her, but to himself. He becomes aware of how sacred ordinary moments truly are. A shared glance, a gentle touch, a conversation without needing to impress. These moments hold more power than grand declarations ever could. He realizes that love does not rescue him from life's challenges. It gives him the strength to face them with clarity and grace. With love, he becomes more responsible for his energy, his words, and his actions. He understands that what he carries within him shapes the relationship he creates. Love refines him, not by force, but by invitation. It asks him to be present, accountable, and emotionally awake. In this truth, love becomes a path, not a destination. A daily choice to stay open, grounded, and sincere. And through that choice, he discovers that the greatest gift of love is not who he becomes for someone else, but who he finally allows himself to be. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more reflections on love, growth, and inner truth.